Hello, everyone.
What up?
It's us, both of us together. I kind of now feel bad because the next week podcast, which I recorded, I kind of roasted you for vanishing for a month. So I kind of feel bad about that now, but
It's
no
all
matter. We're back, and there's music because when I'm mad at Skype for not letting me use OBS. The solution is to use a bunch of these things, and that's what we're doing here right now.
Yeah.
I am one of your hosts, Cull, and you can find me on Instagram, even though I'm not there for the moment, at ColorJamal03. It's on the screen. I'm joined, as always, except for the last bunch of weeks, by the one and only legend.
What's up? I'm back. I'm Alon. You can find my IG AlondaS54, but you can follow us on all socials at comicboys_ to see the best content out there.
And giveaways. We did a giveaway for Beau's Afraid, so got some more stuff cooking. I'm gonna be more engaged on that social media, and you know what today feels like a day for?
What?
It feels like a day for an announcement.
All right.
Yeah, do you want me to give an announcement?
What's up?
Okay, this is the announcement. So, starting in a few weeks, in like 2 weeks, I won't be exclusive to this channel and this whole thing. My opinions are going to be taken. I mean, I'll also be here. However, my opinions will also be somewhere else. You'll be able to hear them first somewhere else. Do you know where that's going to be?
On vacation.
No, not on vacation. On the U of T podcast show.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to have the CIUT podcast that I will be on. My very own show. I mean, I have my very own show here, but that's a little different because I'm going to have a studio with guests, and it's going to be fire. And Alon will be there because I will drag him there from time to time.
I'll be there.
And so that's starting very, very soon. I've got a few people in mind to line up. Alon, what are you doing over the next bunch of weeks toward the end of August? I don't know. Are you doing anything cool?
Well, I'm gonna be stuck. I'm gonna be here in the country working on this house, but other than that, not a lot.
Really, you're not doing anything else cool over August?
I might spend a weekend or two in Ottawa.
My God, I'm really setting you up here for the thing we talked about, but it's okay. It's okay. You don't want to tell them what you're doing. It's fine. You're gonna be at a certain place talking to some people.
So the other announcement was that there's a possibility that I'll be going to Fan Expo. That's going to be in the Fan Expo convention in downtown Toronto in near the end of August.
Yes, that very likely possibility because I'm going to be very angry if you don't go. But no, yes, you'll be going as a member of the media because that is what we are now, media members.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, as I said, big things happening. That's why you want to subscribe. You want to like and you want to comment on this stuff and share it with your friends because this only happens if people do that kind of thing because then it shows that you like listening to us, or at least you don't like listening to us, but at least you're doing what we're telling you to do. But yeah, that's the announcement. 2 announcements. And now we got to talk about a movie.
Mm-hmm.
A movie which I know you wrote a review for. I pressured you into making a video, and then I told you, you know what? I've seen it now. Let's just do a podcast. So we're here for a special podcast, and then you'll get a break from Alon on Monday when there's a podcast without him, which I've already recorded, and then he'll be back again next Monday, unless he decides not to show up. Then he won't be back. So yeah. But what movie are we talking about today?
We're talking about what I like to, unfortunately, from my perspective, I unfortunately call this the beginning of the end of the Mission Impossible franchise. Mission Impossible number 7, part 1.
I should make you record I should make you record videos before we do every podcast because you're like so much more on top of your stuff today. It's great.
So yeah, Khalil and I went to watch separately Mission Impossible, the seventh movie in the installment. Um, and me personally, it just kind of, I don't know, it kind of sucks to say that this is the second to last film.
We know how much you hate Mission Impossible, and we know you're like,
Nah.
very on board with the whole ending of the franchise.
I don't know if you, I think my review I recorded earlier, that I uploaded to Google, but it didn't go up. I don't know if you saw it, but
I haven't watched it. No.
Well, all right. So, in my own opinion, I've said this since the sixth movie, but I think that it's time to start having a conversation to put Mission Impossible as a top movie franchise. I'm not talking about spy movies. I'm not talking about action movie. I'm talking about like movie franchise just in general. I think it's time we actually start having like a real serious conversation of making Mission Impossible a top movie franchise. Put it up there with Harry Potter, with Marvel, with James Bond. But now Mission Impossible is 100% there. I've known it since the sixth movie, but this seventh movie just proves why Mission Impossible is going to go down in history as like one of the best movie franchises that Hollywood's ever seen.
So see, this is what I dislike about you, in the nicest way possible. The thing I dislike about you the most is I wrote notes because I was going to make a review as well, and then I was like, it's just better we just both do this, right? And in my notes, there's something I wrote some stuff which was like for me going to be like the highest possible praise I could give this. And I was like ready to come on and talk about how like all of these things about it. And then you just come on, you talk. I let you talk first, and you just decide, you know what? I'm gonna make all the stuff you wrote about this movie, all the nice things, seem like nothing because I'm gonna call it one of the greatest movies ever. And now all the things I wrote look ridiculous and don't look like at all praising. But
my fault.
So, anyways. That's a strong take. But what I will say, because I think we will talk at the end about where this movie ranks kind of in I guess in your mind in history and in my mind at least over the last year and a bit, because I'm not going to look at it in that regard quite yet. But what I will say, and I want to know your thoughts on this, because this is one of my this is a new prevailing theory, which I think I'm going to kind of harp on for the rest of time because I think it's true. You know what that is? It's really easy to make a good action movie. Do you know how you do it?
Well, when you're talking about a Tom Cruise action movie, that's not a very easy thing to make.
I'm saying just making a good action movie in general is really easy to do. Do you know how you do it?
How?
All you have to do to make a really good action movie is you have to have an amazing action director and an amazing action cinematographer. And it doesn't matter what else you have. Because if you have those two things, you are going to have an amazing action movie. Now, that being said, because I know exactly what you're going to say, because I can read your mind. That being said, this movie has both those things, about like first of all, which automatically makes it a great action movie. But then you know what they do? Just to mess with us? They say, you know what? Let's just put in one of the greatest action star in modern movie history, Tom Cruise, in the movie. Oh, and by the way, let's also just throw in, in terms of like having a good action cinematographer. No, we're gonna have a great one. We're gonna have the cinematographer, Fraser Taggart, who was the cinematographer for John Wick 2, Rogue One, Hobbs and Shaw, Doctor Strange, and a ton of other things. Let's put in Christopher McQuarrie, who quite literally is the best action director working right now, who directed Fallout, Rogue Nation, and Jack Reacher. Oh, and then alongside Tom Cruise, let's put in Haley Atwell, who, has just been Peggy Carter in the first Avenger and a whole bunch of and has done a bunch of other things. Let's put in all the returning actors and actresses who were amazing in Fallout and the other ones, like Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa Kirby, Vin Rames, Simon Pegg, and then the newcomers, the new people to the like fully the newest kind of action people. Oh yeah, they're just going to be the S.A. Morales who played Deathstroke on Titans, and and Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy. Those are the two. Deathstroke and Mantis are the two newcomers to this crew of people. Like, that's ridiculous. It's unfair. It's literally like everybody in this is an amazing action star or someone who should probably be an amazing action star. And then on top of that, behind the camera, you have a cinematographer who has done some of the best action cinematography we've seen in movies, and also one of the best literally the best action director living. And they just told us to watch the movie. Think about that. That's crazy.
I mean, I just look at them as, you know, the movie they're in now. I don't really, you know, obviously Haley Atwell did Marvel and the others, but like, I don't really focus on that. I just focus on what she does in Mission Impossible, and what she does in Mission Impossible was amazing. I think she really stole a lot of scenes with her performances.
Right, but I think my bigger point there was more just like, these people are really good at their jobs and they're all in the same movie. Like, we're not gonna like the actual, like, because like you have movies, right, where you have kind of like a good star, and then but the rest of the cast is just whatever, right? Like, it's really just about the star. This is a movie where half these people should be starring in their own movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, half this cast could be a star of their own. Like,
could be. I just watched the Rebecca Ferguson movie where she was the star of her movie, and it was great.
But that's the thing, like, and then now she's like the what? She's like the what? Like the one of the lower build cast members.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, she's like a minor part of this movie. Like, that's, I don't know. I just find that, and then on top of that, again, and I think the most important thing, which is cinematography and directing, and for the reason of the most important part of an action movie is the action, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I know we'll talk about this a little bit, but I think the scene that impressed me the most was the sand scene at the beginning of the movie
in the Arabian desert. Yeah.
Do you know why? I think that was more impressive than the actual train sequence. But do you know why?
Why?
Because when you have a scene, when there's like a sandstorm going on, right? And fun fact, there was another Mission Impossible movie that had an action scene in a sandstorm.
The fourth movie. The fourth movie.
Right. Do you remember who that was directed by?
McQuarrie.
Hmm?
Or it was probably by McQuarrie or someone else.
No, it was Ghost Protocol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ghost Protocol, and it was directed by Brad Bird. Do you know who Brad Bird is?
No.
Brad Bird's the guy who directed The Incredibles, the animated movie. There, and you can tell there is a difference when you have someone like McQuarrie directing an action scene in sand, because let me tell you, that was probably one of the only scenes in sand where I could say, not only do I know what's going on, but it matters, right? Like, I could clearly tell who Tom Cruise is. I can clearly tell what they're doing. There's no, because like in sand, sometimes you get away with some stupid cuts, right? Or some like, lazy camera work. This camera work in the sandstorm is pristine. It's pristine. It's great.
I don't know. I put the Austrian Alps scene as the most impressive just because of the stunts alone. I think that really separates itself from the rest of the movie.
I agree with the stunt part, but I'm saying in terms of like the camera and like the non-weird cut fight
Well,
scenes.
I mean, they used a real camera to show Tom Cruise skydiving, I don't know if you saw the behind the scenes, but that part where he's skydiving, it's not, directly after he rides his motorcycle off of the mountain, but it was actually when he jumped off a helicopter, and then they started filming from when he was in midair. And, having to film that along with him on his parachute and his speed wing, and, Tom Cruise on an actual moving train, going at an insane speed. I think and they were able to capture it to a point where the audience can see it clearly. I think that's also impressive.
I know. I'm not saying it's not impressive, but what I'm saying is I think because you're right. Like, obviously everything you're saying is correct, but I'm saying especially because I think part of that is because it opens the movie, right? And again, sometimes because that was like at the end of the movie, it's a little bit different in terms of like your mindset, right? Like when you're going into a movie and then you see a scene that's kind of wonky action wise, then you're like, whatever, right? But I think because it started so strong, and I think like this was one of the very few movies where I legitimately think every action scene is amazing.
Hmm.
Like that's a hard thing to do. That's not easy at all. Like to have literally, I don't think there was a single time where I was like, wait, why the hell did they cut it like that? I don't understand what the hell's happening, or who's this character punching this character, right? Because like sometimes they'll do the weird cuts because they like mainly because they have to cut in the stunt doubles, right? I think the advantage obviously not having stunt doubles is, or for and doing a lot of the stunts by yourself is because it allows you to do kind of those more free flowing cuts. But I mean, I was honestly like the action alone thoroughly impressed me.
Yeah, I mean, it's Tom Cruise. He's the last real movie star that Hollywood has, and he wants his action in his films to be the best possible for the audience. Whether it's like fist fights or gunfights or I don't know, car chases or moving trains or skydiving. He's obviously 99 to 100% involved in all the stunts and the choreography and the planning. So he wants to make sure it's all the best. So that's why the Mission Impossible movies have the best action and best stunts because
Yeah,
of
I
that
mean,
because of that Tom Cruise involvement.
so just recently I watched a movie, God is a Bullet, right? I actually made a review of it. It's on the channel somewhere. It might appear in a bubble at the top of the screen if you're watching this on YouTube. Or might not, depending on if I edit this. The and the thing so the person who directed that movie was the guy who directed The Notebook. Okay, now this is a cartel action movie. Okay, so I think and I think what you noticed was, and there's a very clear difference, right? Because not even on the same level, but just the fact that it was the guy, you could tell it was directed by a guy who didn't direct action.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to direct action in a certain way for it to work, right? Like, I think that's the thing and I think the reason action movies get constantly underrated by people, especially when it comes to like awards and stuff, is because people don't realize if you direct action wrong, it's going to look terrible and the movie's going to be terrible. Like, I think John Wick, right? I obviously I know you love John Wick, right? John Wick has had amazing action directors, amazing action cinematographers behind and in front of the camera, or behind the camera, I guess, because that's what their job is, but also an amazing action star in front of the camera, right? And you see it in the quality of the fights, right? Like you see it in the quality of the action. And when it's an action movie and the story is so heavily reliant on the action, and if the action's bad, the story is not going to matter that much. I think it does matter, the directing, and I think you need to give a huge ton of credit to Christopher McQuarrie and the cinematographer for making this, because at the end of the day, Tom Cruise can do all the great stuff, but if the people behind the camera, the cinematographer and the director mainly, are not able to do their jobs like really well, because remember, Tom Cruise could jump out of as many planes as he wants. You have to be able to capture it so it looks impressive. Right? Because at the end of the day, you see people jumping out of planes in movies all the time, right? The only difference, I guess, is that you kind of know it's a little bit more real than most people. But still, if it looks bad, it looks bad, right? Like, I think you have to give a lot of credit to those people for making this stuff all look good all the time. And it's for the last two movies. Like, McQuarrie's been doing this definitely for Fallout and for Dead Reckoning, right? Like, I think probably at the top level. And then obviously you have like Henry Cavill in Fallout, right? And you had him probably in his best role ever in Fallout, one of his best roles ever in Fallout. So I definitely think there needs to be a lot. Like, I think my praise, because I think Tom Cruise kind of gets his credit, and we'll talk about the story in a little bit, but I just wanted to nerd about the action a little bit more, because I honestly, like, again, I was so, like, I went in with such high expectations and I was still impressed by the action. Like, the fight scenes were still impressive.
Yeah, of course. It's a Tom Cruise movie. Of course, the fights are going to be impressive.
But again, like, it's like I expect them to be impressive, and yet they still impress me. Like, to the point where I was kind of like when he was getting ready to do the train jump, right? I was like, oh, okay. Like, I was just like at that point where I was like amazed by everything. I was like, there's no way this is going to look bad. It doesn't matter. and that's hard to do, right? Like that's hard to get to the point where the big, like, I don't know if I've ever felt like that during a Mission Impossible movie where I'm like, oh, the big stunt's coming up, who cares? I know it's gonna look good because they made everything else look amazing, right? Like I think that's an impressive thing. Anyways, I want to give them credit for that. I don't know if you have any thoughts on the fights and stuff before we talk about the characters and story and stuff.
No, I mean the fights are, what I were expecting, like high level, excellently choreographed, and yeah.
Okay, so now I'm gonna give my spoiler warning, because now we will talk about spoilers in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So so I think the way we should start this is we should answer the age-old question, the one that everyone always asks or complains about, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first one of those questions is very simple. Should they did they end it right as a part one? Was it a good part one?
Yes, it was.
Why?
Because it's setting up what's coming for the next part. I mean, Kid Rich said it best, and the White Widow war is coming, and it's not going to be a proxy war. It's not going to be an electronic war. It's going to be a shooting war over breathable air and drinkable water in a declining ecosystem. And this AI that they're trying to take down, it's obviously really, it's something that Ethan Hunt and the IMF and the U.S. government and the world's governments have never seen before because of how powerful it is. They said at the beginning it's infiltrated the world's strongest governments, turns allies into enemies and enemies into aggressors. So the way that they set it up with all that dialogue, explaining this AI and everything and how everything's going down with this, I think it's setting up perfectly the second, because right now, the current state of the Mission Impossible world, the world is on edge. Politics is very fragile. Intelligence, is very fragile. No one can really be trusted. Not even Ethan Hunt's own government can be trusted. No world government can be trusted. Anyone can come up from out of nowhere and present a new threat. So I think that it sets up perfectly a second part for, the highest stakes that there's ever been, because it's the grand finale. So the way that they set up this one, it's setting up part two to be like in the Mission Impossible world, like not only a world-changing event, but like the fate of the world is on the line in the second movie,
Okay.
and the fate of like global stability.
So I agree with all that, but I think what I was saying more when I asked about it being a good part one, not in terms of the movie, but in terms of the way it ends. Because I think when you talk about Across the Spider-Verse, right, a lot of people had an issue with that ending because it was too like, oh, we're just literally just stopping randomly in the movie, and now you have to wait a year, right? With Infinity War, which I think is another part one, which I think did a better job than an Across the Spider-Verse did, where I think they had more of a natural, even though we all knew they weren't really all dead, it had more of a natural conclusion, right? It granted was not the conclusion anyone wanted, but it was still a conclusion, right?
Yeah.
And I think what I'm asking more is in terms of like, do you think that this conclusion was enough to keep keep people guessing and keep people interested, but not too much where people are kind of frustrated and feel like they didn't get an ending?
Yeah, I think that it did exactly that, because now we know that Hunt and his team have this key, and they want to know what the key unlocks, but it doesn't reveal too much about the future.
So I disagree with you, because I think personally this was a very bad. I think for a great movie, the ending really sucked, and the reason for that is I think they almost let it be too calm, right? Like I don't think they gave us enough of a, oh my god, wait till the next one kind of moment. Like, yeah, I get it. It's gonna solve, like, there are questions. I think what I was thinking toward the end of the movie, right, is that moment where him and Haley Atwell are both on the plane, or on the train, sorry, not the plane, and it's about to fall, whatever, and they need to get out, or they're coming, or whatever the case is. I don't even remember anymore, but the end of that, and there's only one person, like the spot for one person. What what I hoped was going to happen, and what I wished happened was, and maybe this was a little bit of me just kind of my speculation, kind of leading me to a bad reaction. But I think I was hoping that they would essentially have her go off and him, I guess, quote unquote, die, right? But not really die. And then obviously the next movie reveals, oh yeah, he's not dead. He was just, he escaped, swam away or whatever. And then he kind of just, and then he's kind of going off on his own to kind of, investigate this. And she's with Haley Atwell and Simon Pegg's character kind of together also trying to investigate this, and they kind of just meet up at some point, whatever, and happens, right? But like I wish there was something more like that, where it's kind of like, there's a momentary like heart drop kind of moment where it's like, oh my god, did they just kill him? Before you kind of realize, okay, obviously no, they didn't. He'll be fine. But you know what I mean?
I hear what you mean, but I think just how can I say, like, I think that from my perspective and from the perspective of, the average movie watcher of I'm talking about like this one in particular, not the previous ones. Right. It's like I said, it's how they said it. They didn't exactly, make it a big monumental ending right at the end of the movie to say wait for part 2. I think they said wait for part 2 throughout the film. Kittredge saying that there's going to be a shooting war, over the collapsing ecosystem. That part where the AI was like rapidly, insanely fast, hacking every single satellite before Luthor can hack into them. The AI infiltrating everything that it could touch. That AI like getting into the biggest, most powerful governments in the world. So I think it really set up that part 2 just throughout the film, and set up the stakes for the second movie throughout the film, and not just like exclusively at the end. I think that ending was just like more to cap off this part of the story.
But like, okay, so I think now that you're saying some of this stuff, I do see some of the stuff that they were trying to. But I feel like anytime you have a part 1 and a part 2, you need a like the only way to sustain it, because like obviously you want part 2 to make a ton of money, right? That's the goal. The goal is to get everyone plus more to watch part 2, right? And I feel like the only way to do that, and I understand it's Mission Impossible, whatever, and we're going to obviously talk about this probably ad nauseum until part 2. But I think the way you get the average kind of person to talk about it is you make those questions more pronounced, right? Like you essentially have to spell out some of these questions for people, right? And what I mean by that is like, now that I go think about it again, Vin Rhames' character, Luthor, goes off, says I have to go do something, right? They don't actually make it a question of, like, they don't really pronounce the question of what is he doing, right? Why is he gone? What's going on there, right? They don't make any of those kind of other questions pronounced. What is Haley Atwell's future hold as as an agent like, is she gonna have to go now try to stop him, right? What does like, it was kind of very vague at the end, where they don't actually spell out any of these questions. I think there's some dialogue or some internal monologue at the end about cutting off friends or something, but or some version of that. But I don't think it doesn't actually pronounce, like, it expects you to kind of read into the context clues. It doesn't just say essentially, basically straight up say, these are the things that we're gonna have to answer. Like you look at Infinity War, it quite literally says what happened to these people, find out next time, and then guess what happened after that. There was speculation endlessly for the next year, which built up the hype for that movie to come out, and then for them to answer those questions, right? With this, I don't know if you're going to have the same level of speculation because it isn't spelled out as clearly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you think that's like, do you think they should have tried to spell it out more clearly, try to make it a little bit more, some of those points a little bit more pronounced so that people talk about it?
Yeah, probably.
because that's the one thing that kind of I don't love when movies do, which is like, yeah, and I think Across the Spider-Verse kind of had the same issues as Mission Impossible to some extent, where I don't think they made any of the questions pronounced. Like, again, I'm not talking about Across the Spider-Verse and like wondering what's going to happen with this, because it doesn't feel like there's any questions to answer, right? There's a few things like, oh well, what's the world he's living in now and all this, or like that he went to by accident, right? But like that was a pretty easy question to answer, right? Like I don't really have any. I'm just waiting for the next one. I don't want to know what happens, obviously, but I'm not like overexcited about it, right? Like Mission Impossible, I know super hyped. I'm like, oh my God, I need to see it right now. I'm like, okay, I'll see it next year, I guess. Right? Like, I don't know. I just feel like that's something which, for a movie that was so great, that kind of bugged me a little bit. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. Maybe they could have added more hype, to part two, but from the ending of the film, where it all concludes. But maybe I guess their way was just through the dialogue of, because it's part one and part two, it's not number 7 and number 8, it's 7 part 1 and 7 part 2. It's going to be two kind of continuous stories and not two like in separate. So I think maybe their way was just to set up, part of part 1 story throughout the dialogue, and then give a general idea of part 2 through that dialogue in part 1.
Okay, so then now that we've kind of talked about what, like, kind of how it all unfolded, now let's go in and try to answer some of those questions I said that they didn't pronounce very well, or didn't explicitly say. Now let's just go in, let's do our usual kind of speculating on what the hell is actually going to go happen. So I think the first question, which I was asked a lot, and then now I'm going to ask you this question because I'm sure you have a great answer to this question, and that question is Ilsa Faust alive?
I don't know.
Is there any possibility of her coming back, do you think? Because obviously, Rebecca Ferguson's a great actress, top tier actress, has been around for a minute. Also is someone who, is pretty well liked, I think, by the general movie going audience. Do you think there's any way she can come back, or is that the end of her character story?
I don't know. I mean, if you look at it, let's say, from example, Harry Potter lens, like Dumbledore. Dumbledore was obviously killed off in the 6th movie, and he didn't come back, and he was by the audience, from my understanding, like a very well liked character. So, and obviously Ilsa Faust is also very well liked by the audience, and I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Well, Dumbledore did kind of come back in other ways. Like, he came back as a portrait. He came back when Harry tried to commit suicide, and in the end. So
I mean,
he did technically come back, but
I mean, like, in how can I say it? Like, to the actual film, not to just like a metaphysical, but a part of me thinks she's like actually dead, and that's the end of her story, and a part of me thinks like she's out there alive somewhere, or maybe she could have. I don't want to say this because it's just. No, I'm not going to say anything. Maybe she could have done this, like, because obviously
you understand we're talking about spoilers, right? Like, you can say spoilers.
No, because what I wanted to say was a spoiler for John Wick 4, and I know you haven't seen it.
Just spoil at this point. I mean,
so are you sure?
Yeah.
So obviously, John Wick had a bounty on his head. So in the end of the 4th movie, he actually dies. You see his grave, him next to his wife. And a part of me was like, okay, you know what? Maybe he's dead. And if he's dead, so be it. It's the end of the line for him. But another part of me thinks he faked his death to kind of continue living a quiet life. And in the start of this Mission Impossible movie, you saw Ilsa had like a $50 million bounty on her head. Maybe she could have faked her death to kind of thwart off that bounty and, not have to live in fear of, mercenaries or assassins coming to kill her. Or maybe she's actually dead. It's kind of 50-50.
So, I'm going to go to a movie, which I think might be one of your least favorite kind of movies in like terms, like if you took all your favorite action movie franchises, right? We ranked all the movies, right? I think this would probably be at the bottom with the Jeremy Renner Jason Bourne movie. Do you know which movie I'm going to talk about? Do you know which movie? Guess which movie I'm going to talk about?
Ooh.
Which movie would you the only thing you could compare to the Jeremy Renner Jason Bourne movie? It came out a few years ago.
Oh man, I'm trying to think.
the last James Bond movie.
Oh,
as
No
the
Time
answer.
to Die.
Yeah, No Time to Die. Because
I was about
I
to
think
say that.
I think that's probably your least favorite of your like favorite franchises movies, right?
Mhm.
So what they did in that movie, I think, is interesting, right? Because they kind of killed everybody, right?
Mhm.
Like they did. They kind of just killed everybody. And I think it'd be interesting if they end Mission Impossible just kind of killing everybody as well.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is the way they set this up, and I think what I'm going to basically say is no, I don't think she's coming back as my answer. And then further that point, I think what they're going to do is I think they're going to basically kill every single supporting character in the next movie. And even to even further that, I think they might even kill. No, they won't. Actually, they're not going to kill Tom Cruise. But I think they will kill everyone. I think the only person who survives potentially is Haley Atwell.
Mhm.
I think every other person dies. I think both of his OG teammates die. I think Vanessa Kirby's character dies. I think they all die. I don't know. Do you have any disagree? Do you have any argument to that?
I think it's time to tell Hollywood to stop killing off major action movie stars and just let them go into retirement peacefully. I
Well,
think it's
that's
a
why I
bit more of a
said.
satisfying ending.
Well, that's why I said kill everyone around him except for him and maybe
Mhm.
Haley Atwell because we'll
No,
talk about Haley
not
Atwell.
even Benji and Luther. I think maybe Luther goes his own way, Benji goes his own way, but they all are chill. Starting a new life, retired from the IMF, all things like that.
But don't you think that in order to have stakes, you have to have death?
I don't know.
Or do you have to have the threat? Do you think it's better that they have the threat of death and that people think, okay, they could do this, or that they actually die? Like if no one dies, but you kind of feel the entire time, oh my god, one of them could die. Do you think
I
that's
mean,
more effective?
in this scenario, you can make the stake. This AI is going to unlock every single nuclear warhead in the world, and turn enemies into aggressors and completely destabilize global geopolitics. I think that's much bigger stakes,
But
honestly,
like
or
when you're
something
watching
like
the
that.
movie, it's just like a end of the world. I see that every other day in the movie. I think the difference is like when you always just kind of assume the good guys are going to win, the bad guys are going to lose. Doesn't matter
Mhm.
what the end of the world stakes are, right? Age of Ultron, I knew Ultron was going to lose. It didn't matter, right? Like I mean, and I think that's probably a bad example because there were some further implications of that one. But anyways, I always know how the robot's going to lose at the end, right?
Mhm.
So I'm like, so but like if I don't feel like Benji and Luther are ever in the threat of dying, I don't know. Do I not feel like is that not kind of a like kind of like the Marvel effect, right? Or where it's like, oh, they'll be fine, no stakes.
I mean, I'm gonna say it like, I mean, obviously, it's a possibility that their death is like making it a stake, but I think with the way it's set up now, like in the Mission Impossible universe, the world's really fragile right now because you know any kind of war can break out at any time. So, and the world can completely destabilize. So I think maybe that threat, you know, that's pretty big because it's also something we kind of see in the real world, but not at the magnitude that we see in Mission Impossible. But I think maybe they do something like that, and I think that could probably be something.
So I agree with you. However, um, I just I have a I feel like it doesn't matter, Like I don't think the world ending matters to the audience.
No, not even the world ending. I'm just saying like world stability, ending
But like,
political
who
stability,
cares?
like
Like what
ending.
audience member watching that says, "Oh my god, the world political stability is ending. Oh my god,"
I mean, like I said, this is like, I think it's more because Mission Impossible tends to delve into kind of, politics, and I think they can, because the IMF is a government agency, so I don't know. I think they can lean into that, kind of take an original way.
So, well, I think that's less original, but I think the other thing is I think it is kind of like, in a weird way, they are setting up the death of everyone around Tom Cruise and Tom Cruise's character. What I mean by that is, they literally said I think it's Benji or someone told him, you have to think about this cold and calculating. None of our lives can matter, or maybe it was Luther. None of our lives can matter more than stopping the AI, right? So, is not the natural implication there to just say, well, the AI is going to kill everyone around him, and because it does. Like, remember, this AI knows everything's what's happening, right? So the natural implication has to be, it's, I don't know, like, it's there. Everyone around him is going to die.
I think that's the thing. Everyone around him is going to die is so unoriginal. It's like such an unoriginal way to end movies now, and I don't like it. They did it in Avengers. They did it in several movie franchises. It's just unoriginal. I think they could take it a different direction.
I mean, yeah, but I feel like the end of the, I just feel like stakes shouldn't, like, someone dying shouldn't be an unoriginal stake to have, because I think that is something which is effective, right?
It's effective, but it's been used like way too many times, not only in like a lot of action movies. And that's the thing, Mission Impossible is like predicated on originality, so.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think we'll see what they do, but I don't know. I'm still a little bit like, I feel like the best stake is the one where everyone could possibly die. Because I feel like I feel like the only real way to have an end of the world level stake is to have real loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not just like, oh well, look, everyone just somehow managed to survive because that's realistic, and everyone just went off on the merry way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but that feels like something that would be kind of, important.
I feel you.
So now we're gonna do something a little bit different, and unless you have anything else to say.
Not much. All I can say is, like I said, I think like I said, I've known this since like the 6th movie that the Mission Impossible franchise is a top Hollywood franchise, but this 7th movie that came out now just proves, why it deserves that spot up there, with Hollywood's best movie series. So, incredible film. I've seen it twice already. Once I saw it in IMAX, and then I went yesterday again and just watched it in normal, but in IMAX. And unfortunately, it's not going to be in IMAX for a while. There's actually quite a story about that, about Mission Impossible not getting enough IMAX days, but IMAX was an incredible experience.
Oppenheimer and
Barbie
it exists. Well, Oppenheimer more so, because Barbie no one watched on IMAX, but Oppenheimer has. Yeah. Anyways, so we're gonna play a little game. Okay, not really a game. It's just more of a let's have fun let's laugh at people who are given credibility on the internet.
So, and I would rate the film. I'd give it 8.8, 8.9 out of 10.
Oh, well, we were gonna do it at the end, but okay, yeah. I would go 9.3, but 9.3, 9.5 kind of area, which is, I'm rating it higher than you, so ha.
Fair.
Wait, why'd you rate it so low? You said one negative thing about it, and yet you're rating it low.
I mean, I don't remember how much I gave John Wick 4, but it's number 1, I guess the only reason why I kind of brought it down was because of Ilsa Faust's death. I didn't really like that because she's one of my favorite characters.
Okay. So you don't like the fact they killed the character. Okay. We're going to play the game of who had something bad to say about this movie. And what I mean by that is we're going to go look at the Rotten Tomato reviews for this movie, and we're going to laugh at the reasons they thought this was bad. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
So the first one comes from the National Review, Armand White. Okay? Give it a negative review. Do you know what he said?
Mm-hmm.
reducing cinema to gimmicky sensationalism is regressive, especially when McQuarrie's repetition is this witless conventional.
Sensationalism, repetitive. Dude, this guy's on drugs. He has no clue what he's talking about.
As most people who write on this website are, Ruben Rosario from Miami Art Zine said, Cruise's latest slice of intercontinental intrigue will have you experiencing deja vu all over again, not only because it trots out the oft-filmed scenarios, but because he stopped doing the very thing that kept the franchise on its toes.
What thing did he stop doing? From what I see, he's still doing death-defying stunts. What kind of methamphetamine is this dude on?
He compares it to Indiana Jones, by the way.
What? This Rosario dude is on coke, bro. He's off the perks.
He also called The Flash an enjoyable superhero movie.
Okay, yeah, no, this guy's a troll. No, this guy's just a troll.
And he called No Hard Feelings a sweet movie.
What did Tom Cruise stop doing that doesn't keep the film on his feet anymore? He's still doing death-defying stunts. Like, oh my god, this guy's off the perks.
You know why? The reason.
He's on weed.
Okay. Do you know why?
Why?
Quote. This is a quote, okay? And I will clip myself saying this. Quote. No one is having sex in the Mission Impossible movies anymore.
Okay. And? So
That's
what?
the reason it's bad.
Okay. This is an action movie. This is a action movie. What is it? Not a NC-17 porn movie. What the hell is this?
I'm not doing this exactly. No one's having sex in the Mission Impossible movies anymore. Daredevil's secret agent is no James Bond after all, even though one senses part of him wishes he had 007's game. Apparently he's James. Wait, what is he James Bond? I thought they're different characters because one's an action star, one's a super spy.
I mean, that's also what makes Mission Impossible so unique, how different it is from James Bond, yet still a spy thriller.
Right, like one of them doesn't have sex every. I don't remember him having sex every movie.
I mean, he had a wife, obviously, but
Okay, yeah, like that's different. Not like James Bond.
This guy's on weed, bro. Fuck this guy.
Wow, swearing now. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, he said there's a little more than narrative scotch tape linking the series of elaborate set pieces together. And he said there's some wear and tear on the creative partnership. So he's a clear moron.
Yeah, he's just trolling.
Okay.
He said The Flash is good.
He said it was a fun movie.
Yeah, he said it was a fun movie. Okay, buddy.
Which it was not. I can tell you that for a fact. Let's find some other people who said some negative things about this movie. Oh, here we go. Anne Manoff. With a thin plot filled out by half an hour chase sequences. The film is 163 minutes long. Even at the press screening, people were checking their phones.
Wait, thin plot, 30-minute chase scene? What?
And checking your phones, yeah.
Chase scene. Has she never seen a Mission Impossible movie before?
Quite possibly.
Like, has she never watched a Tom Cruise movie before? Or what?
Quite possibly for all those things.
Unreal.
Oh, this one I like.
Oh boy.
This is from Cinemalog. Todd Hogerson. Jogerson. I don't know how to say names. Anyways, another showcase for some dazzling set pieces. This elaborate adventure struggles to raise the socio-political stakes as intended, falling short on genuine suspense. Wow, it's like I'm a critic or something. That's what I said.
Failing to raise socio-political awareness, but it literally said that the AI it's failing to raise awareness of the socio-political stakes, but it literally explained that the AI has infiltrated every single of the most powerful government in the world. What? Oh my god. Kit Ridge literally said it. The next war is a shooting war over air and water and ecosystems. What is wrong with these people? Why do people give these people credibility?
there's not much beneath the slick surface of a screenplay that doesn't withstand logical scrutiny. With every harrowing twist, Ethan's invincibility is never in doubt, and neither is that of a franchise that pauses on a cop-out cliffhanger. I said these things. Wow, I'm so smart. I did say these things, but I just said them nicer. I think that's valid criticism, though.
Wow.
And I think it's valid. Okay, Vanny Land. Nick Johnson. Okay, ready for this one? This is a
Okay.
doozy. There's something to be said for consistency, but when paralleled with its most high-profile competitor, the Mission Impossible movies often come up lacking in most departments aside from the stunt work.
Huh?
Yes.
What does it lack? Story?
Well, we're about to find out.
Characters? Dialogue?
Which is what happened when you blow your punctuation load within the first 20 characters and still have time to deal with that. This film will have a direct sequel. The interrupting the pacing of the entire sequence. The stunt apparently interrupts the pacing of the entire sequence, which is only cutting out sounds, which is breathtaking. They're trying to compare it to Mad Max Fury Road.
I mean, Mad Max Fury Road was a great movie.
Right. That's what I'm trying to understand why that's a bad comparison. There's something talking about the AI. They're not saying anything negative here. They just kind of conclude that it's a bad movie. That's an interesting strategy. Let's find someone else who's maybe not as stupid. Oh, found one. Oh, this is a guy's a top critic. Okay, so got to take his oh my god, I hate this man with a passion. He's just said some other stupid things before. He's from the San Diego Reader.
Okay.
I don't know what's in. He's a top critic. Okay, so he's one of the credible guys allegedly. Cruise the stuntman is reliably spectacular here, but Cruise the actor seems a little bit scattered. And Hunt the character? Question mark. He wrote a question mark. Don't say it. I just said it. He fails personally when it counts, but suffers not a single consequence because of it. He gave it a 1 out of 5, by the way. Yeah. He gave it the same rating he gave Indiana Jones, by the way. But then, so now let me just give you some context so you can feel a little better about yourself, okay? He also gave The Flash a 1 out of 5. So he gave The Flash and Mission Impossible the same rating. He also gave Across the Spider-Verse a 2 out of 5. So he gave Elemental a 0 out of 5. He gave Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 a 2 out of 5. He gave Fast and Furious a 1 out of 5. He gave Master Gardener a 2 out of 5, which is not better than this, by the way. He gave The Little Mermaid and The Flash and Mission Impossible Fallout have the same rating in this guy's mind.
No. This guy's a troll. This guy's got to be a troll. The Little Mermaid? It's the same as Mission Impossible Fallout?
Oh, he gave Creed 3 a 1 out of 5 too, by the way.
Oh my goodness.
Guess the last movie he gave above a 2 out of 5.
What?
The Banshees of Inisherin. He gave it a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
Do you know what the movie before that was?
What?
I'm still scrolling, so I'm not sure yet. Driveways in 2019.
The hell is that?
It is a movie which stars people. I've never heard of this movie before. He literally has not given a movie a good rating since 2019. And then before that, it was Ford vs. Ferrari. That's the last time he gave a movie a positive rating was Ford vs. Ferrari. Why are these people given credibility? Just because you hate things doesn't mean you're a good critic. Oh, El Pais. It's a Spain reviewer, okay? So you know he's got some good stuff to say. The machine is well oiled. It cranks out a new product that's invariably the same as the last. That's as predictable as it is tiresome. How do you feel?
Is that meant to be a good review or a bad one?
Bad one.
Huh. Okay.
The same tiresome reviews over and over. Or some movies over. Here's another Boston Herald, and you know those people in Boston have never said anything bad about anything before, right? James
Ah.
Venere. Yes, the Boston Herald. Let's see what the Boston Herald has to say. Tom Cruise doesn't act anymore. He just is. The action is first rate, but every time an actor opens their mouth, high-tech action movie garbage pours out. I quoted this review, by the way. This is just me reading the review. He said these things word for word. I don't understand it. I'm
Hey, you know what?
numb.
If you're from Boston, fuck you, bro.
Whoa. Hold up.
If you're from
Okay.
the city of Boston or the greater Boston area, bro, you're a nobody.
Okay. Now let's not let's read something. Maybe there's more context here than what I just read. Let's see. Okay. Um, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which is 2 hours and 43 minutes long, and then in brackets he puts just typing the title is exhausting. Is the sequel to Mission Impossible Fallout 2018, the 7th film in the MI series. Dead Reckoning Part 2 was filmed alongside Part 1. The series, yada, yada, yada. Okay, thank you for all that information. The film's cast is led by 61-year-old Tom Cruise, still doing his own stunts. Rebecca Ferguson returns as the outlandishly named Ilsa Faust. He writes outlandishly named because that's something important. Vin Rames as tech wizard Luther Stickle, Scene Stealer Simon Pegg as the tech wizard and master of disguise Benji Dunn, and Vanessa Kirby, looking out of her mind most of the time, returns as the White Widow. The Welcome Shield Dodge Jasper. I don't understand. What? I'm reading this, and I'm in deep shock and sadness.
What?
He's just saying a bunch of he's the writers borrow everything from Jason Bourne to Alfred Hitchcock. A small nuke requires answers to riddles to disarm it. Where is Mighty Python when you need him? Okay, this guy should never be allowed to speak again.
Wait, hold on a sec.
Ooh, Asheville Movies. He's got a doozy of a review here. Edwin Arnaudin. While a weapon as powerful as the Entity would naturally attract numerous interested parties, McQuarrie and co-writer Eric Jetterson struggled to balance the various individuals drawn to it. That's actually a logical review or logical reaction. I mean, it's maybe too negative, but I wouldn't disagree with that. I think the fact that there's only like one or two world governments looking for the Entity kind of is dumb. Like that they only showed one or two world. Like I would assume you showed every world government, or at least a large portion of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like did they have anyone Russian kind of look for it? Because they had it initially, right?
What, the keys?
Yeah.
I mean, they said that there's a global race for it, but I don't know if
they didn't show it.
They didn't show it.
That's actually a good negative review.
Because I think if you're, I don't know if that really matters though.
Well, like I think if you're saying it, no, it's not like I'm just saying like, if you have to look for things to like that the movie didn't do well, I think that is something it didn't do well. Oh, here's another one from the Tray, Ed Whitfield. Okay, this is what he says: suffers from Part 1 syndrome. It's a long setup to get to the movie you came to see, the one in which the laid pipe delivers the thrills. It's deflating to get to the end of the 2-hour 43-minute picture and hear the words, "This is only the beginning." So he doesn't like movies, apparently. That's what I'm taking away from that one. Here's another one. Starburst. I mean, if your publication is called Starburst, you know you've already got like top tier credibility, right? Jonathan Anderson says, at times it's watching a 1970s Bond movie, and at others a haunting film noir. The action definitely delivers, but but be it desert shootouts or more train shenanigans, but the plot doesn't make up for it.
These people with expectations are ridiculous.
I think they expected a story, and I don't know why they did, but I guess they did. Let's see. Are there any more negative reviews? They don't let me filter my negative review anymore, which sucks, but we just scroll through all the positive, nice things being said about this movie to find the angry trolls. Why aren't there that many angry trolls? This is more fun when there's more people who hate the movie, but
Oh, by the way, this is something about part 2.
What is it?
So, just from Collider, obviously Mission Impossible 8 got shut down, but it
Right.
turns out, so McQuarrie said, we've shot everything but one of our international locations. We've shot our big action except the biggest set piece, essential set piece of the film. So it looks like they have at least like 75% of the film like actually filmed, 80% filmed. But now with this writer strike going on, they can't really do anything.
And actors.
And so like they have just this one piece they need to film and then they're good. So I think they're like I want to say like 75% done filming part 2.
Okay, so this is a good time to put in a PSA. So this is to all the studios who are listening. Please pay the fucking actors and the writers so we can get movies again. Thank you. Bye. Okay.
Marvel, give your CGI artists realistic deadlines and give them better pay, bro. No wonder why their CGI has been shit.
Give them unions. Give them unions. Give them unions.
Give them unions and reasonable times. No wonder why Marvel's CGI has been shit lately.
If you want to hear more about the struggles of VFX artists when it comes to some of these studio movies, check out the 2 interviews I've done with VFX artists who have, said these exact same things. Ooh, I found another one. Times UK. So this is a British person, Kevin Mayer.
Oh, it's British?
Yeah.
His opinion doesn't matter to me.
It feels like a movie that's been assembled by an inattentive monkey or a luckless studio intern who was handed a bucket of half-completed rushes and told, "Go make a COVID-beating blockbuster out of that." That was the movie review, by the way.
It's just outrageous. Yeah, so it looks like the only part they haven't filmed is like their biggest actual. McQuarrie is calling it outrageous, like the one stunt scene they haven't filmed yet. So
that's a big stunt for the next one.
Yeah, just the monster stunt. He calls it a monster stunt. So that's the only one they haven't filmed.
Jumping out of space.
They're like 80% done. The filming part 2. I still think it's going to be released in June 2024.
Well, do you know what we should do?
What?
We should tell the stupid studios just to pay the stupid actors so they go back to work and we can all be happy again. Like, it's not that hard. You make so much money.
I don't know. I think because I was a little bit suspicious of whether they would release it in June 2024, like they said they would. But I think they'll be able to get it. I think they'll reach June 2024 release.
I love the audience reviews for if they pay and by the way, the Monday podcast episode is about the actor strikes and the writer strikes. So make sure you check that out if you want to hear more of my thoughts on that. Anyways, so this is funny. So you want to hear this audience review because we've gone through all the negative critic reviews. Now we're going through some negative audience ones. Do you want to hear this one?
Yeah.
So Gail wrote, "I didn't get to see it when I got to theaters. The place was swarmed with cops and fire trucks. There was a gas leak. Will you refund my ticket and schedule it for another day, please?"
That's not even the movie.
That was a 1-star review.
That's not even about the movie. It's just about the cinema.
And then Patty wrote, "It was boring and too slapstick for my taste. I walked out of the movie."
Too slapstick?
Why do people walk out of movies? It's a waste of money. If you paid to watch a movie, just watch it. You spent so much money on it.
A movie that deals with geopolitics and the possibility of war and espionage is too slapstick for her? What are these people talking about?
Don't you remember the laugh track?
Oh my god.
No, because nowadays the end of the world is just a funny thing now, right? It just happens all the time. It's just I remember the laugh track. I think they should have used the laugh track.
This is from The Guardian. While the majority of Dead Reckoning Part 2 has reportedly been filmed, including major scenes in the Arctic, so it looks like a lot of the stunts and scenes are going to take place in like the North Pole or the South Pole or something. Parts of the production were being held until promotional duties of the first part had been completed. Yeah, so yeah, that's what it is. Like 75 to 80% of the film is already done.
Okay, I've got a question for you.
hmm
So this is a 3-star audience review, okay, from Zooey.
3 stars out of what? 5?
3 out of 5, yeah.
Okay.
Do you know what the review says?
What?
Weak plot, often confusing. Now I'm confused as to why if they called it a weak plot, often confused, why Zooey gave it 3 stars.
Probably action.
I guess so. Let's find some more negative reviews. I love negative reviews. They make me happy. Stephen H wrote a negative review. Worst movie I've seen in years. Can't be classified as a movie if it
Wow.
doesn't have an ending. Acting was very good. They just forgot to add 30 minutes into the end to wrap things up. Hey,
Dude, Stephen H is a
it's a part
hater.
2. There's gonna be a
Dude,
part 2.
Stephen H is a hater.
Acting was so great action and acting, but the story falls apart at the end without an actual ending. Hey, buddy, Steven, I'm talking to you right now, okay? So the way part 1 and part 2 works is that part 1 ends and then part 2 starts where part 1 ended. So the ending is not really an actual ending. You have to just wait till part 2. That's how it works. Now, I know you don't understand the concept of part 1 and 2, but now you do. You learn something new every day.
Damn, Stephen H is a generational hater.
Almost like another Steven I know.
Stephen A.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but you said it. So it's okay.
No, Skip Bayless is a bigger hater than Stephen.
Yeah, but does it rhyme?
Nah.
Let's find some more generational haters. The action is great. The storyline, not so much. I don't know why people don't like the story. I love the story.
Yeah, the story was good. I don't know why people are complaining about it.
Apparently there's a woke agenda. I don't know.
There's none.
I know.
There's literally no woke agenda.
Wait, do I have to go back and watch the Mission Impossible?
Wait. What's the woke agenda that they're saying there is?
I don't know. I just kind of scroll. I just saw woke agenda and sex, and I just kind of skipped it. Wait, are there like these big sex scenes in every single Mission Impossible? Have I just not been watching the movies properly?
Anyways, I don't know why people are so addicted to sex. It's weird. No, it's just weird.
I'm clipping that one. That one I'm clipping. I'm clipping that one.
It's just creepy.
Okay, Tony. Do you want to see what Tony wrote?
What?
Total dud, man. Way too much dialogue. And how many times can a thief escape? I can only review the first
Tony.
I walked out.
Tony, you gotta understand.
Why this movie received positive reviews.
Tony, you gotta understand. It's an action movie. Yeah, it's an action movie, but it kind of has to set up the story through dialogue. And this is kind of a finale. You know, it's the franchise is kind of coming to an end now, so they kind of have to set everything up. But
let's find some more people who are dumb. Oh, here's another. Tina J wrote, "Horrible movie. I will not be going to see the rest." There is no. Wait, hold on. This gets even better. There is no action, but there is a lot of talking, and they made a big deal over the jump, and I was not a big deal. This movie gets a 0 from me. Alon, can you please address the quote? There is no action. There is a lot of talking, and they made a big deal over the jump. And this is what actually says, and I was not a big deal.
What jump? Like the motorcycle?
I guess so.
Woman, do you know why it's a big deal? Because Tom Cruise actually literally rode a motorcycle off of a ramp and actually was skydiving in the Austrian Alps. And like I said, this is a finale. A movie tends to set up its story through dialogue. This is the same way. This is an action movie. Yes, you're right. So it has action, very well done action, but I don't know if this woman has watched movies before, but movies tend to set up their plot through characters talking to each other.
I know it's funny though. I'll tell you this though. I guarantee you all these people would be if there was too much story or less story, they would be saying the exact opposite of what they're saying now.
Bro,
Okay,
unreal.
this is a better one, okay? This is a better one. This is probably the best criticism I've seen of the movie so far, okay? Actually, no, this is one better. Ellen S. wrote, "It was fun for a totally implausible story. LOL." I don't know if she knows, but AI is not implausible anymore.
Yeah, AI has become something very real now.
East Ender at 1985 wrote this, and this is probably the best one, okay? Because this criticism is a very simple one. If he said grace one more time, I'd have thrown up. Other than that, usual fare for Mission Impossible.
Grace was the second main character, you idiot! What the hell's wrong with these people?
It's like if in the Avengers, Iron Man said Captain America one more time, I was gonna throw up.
Grace was the second main character of the film. Oh my god.
I love how they're like, there's too much talking, there's too little talking. If they said the co-star's name one more time,
I would actually say there was more talking in this film than the other Mission Impossible movies.
Duncan M, not Tim Duncan, Duncan M,
Not
said-
Duncan Robinson.
Not Duncan Robinson either, although he is missing as much as Duncan Robinson does with this comment. The Impossible Mission was topping the last film. This one doesn't come close. Poor pacing and the plot is a combination of For Your Eyes Only and season 3 of Westworld. So he doesn't say poor pacing and poor plot or anything. He says poor pacing and the plot. So I'm assuming the plot was good because grammar. Also, he said I like the line the Impossible Mission was topping the last film. However, the only difference was they actually managed to succeed. But I guess people are just stupid. But it's okay. We don't judge you for being dumb.
Nah, we're very open.
Ready for Barbara's take?
Okay.
Barbara says, very confusing plotline. Couldn't understand who all the characters were. Ridiculously over the top and drawn out action sequences, particularly the train falling into the river one car at a time.
Okay, wait.
Hold on. I want to defend
Wait,
Barbara here, okay?
no, hold on.
I think that they kind of went over
Confusing-
the top with some of these fake stunts, okay? Like you can't use these CGI stuff all the time, like this like MCU stuff where like
That wasn't CGI.
Thanos, all this fake CGI, Tom Cruise jumping off and where he's just jumping onto like a trampoline type thing.
The train falling into the river?
No, I mean Tom Cruise, like he's just jumping like off a little cliff onto like to a green screen. Like we need to really just stop with all this.
All right, wait,
fake
hold on.
stunts.
Confusing characters. Lady, go watch the last 6 Mission Impossible movies. Over the top stunts. Yes, that's literally the entire premises of Mission Impossible. Over the top stunts.
Real, they're not fake stunts.
Yeah, they're real.
The green screen stuff was joking. He doesn't actually jump onto a green screen.
When that train was falling off the bridge, that was an actual train. Like that was a real train falling off the bridge. That's some Christopher Nolan type shit right there.
I think so. One comment was they said Grace too many times. The other one, I don't understand who any of the characters were. So I'm trying to understand now. So one person thought they said the characters' names too many times. One person didn't understand who the characters were. So we can try to struggle with that one right now.
There's no reasoning with these people.
Josh N says, surprised by the reviews. Yes, the action was great, but I found the plot to be somewhat dull. Basically a bunch of people chasing a set of keys for 2.5 hours. Previous Mission Impossible movies have had better plots. The whole AI is out to get us has become a tired storyline. I agree, Josh, because I think the AI out to get us thing is happening too much in real life now. We need to really escape from real life, so they really should choose something scarier than crazy evil robots. But yeah, what do you think, Alon? Do you think people should be chasing keys the entire movie?
I mean, the key unlocks everything, and it wields a lot of power.
Ooh, there's someone who hated the movie but also thinks like you.
What?
I think this might actually be you, except you gave it a bad rating. Movie Buff 008 says, decent addition to the franchise, but not as good as the last two. Death in the movie was unnecessary and just felt like an unnecessary plot device. Did not do justice to the character in question and their skill portrayed in the previous movies. I'm assuming talking about Ilsa Faust. The person who, according to another review, should be named Ilsa Faust because that's not a good name. Anyways, also seemed like an insecure lead actor not wishing to have someone who is almost as equal in skill as an ongoing cast member. Again, I'm assuming you're talking about Tom Cruise being feeling inferior to Ilsa Faust. Okay. Hope I'm proven wrong and the character makes a return. Again, I'm assuming you're talking about Ilsa Faust. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, killing off Ilsa Faust kind of did me wrong because she's one of my favorite characters in the film. Other than that, this guy's a little bit loco.
Do you think Tom Cruise is insecure about Rebecca Ferguson's ability to act?
No, there's a reason that he wanted her for the last 3 movies.
So he's not insecure, what you're telling me.
No, of course he's not insecure.
Good. Chase D, and he's not. I'm not making that joke. I'm not making that joke. You can make the joke, but I'm not making that joke.
What?
I said Chase D, and I was gonna make a joke about Chase. Anyways, I'm not making that joke though. You know exactly what joke I'm gonna make. I'm not making a joke.
I think so.
He starts his review off with meh. Maybe he needs more of the. The last few have had great action and plot with characters that have clear motives. This had probably the most amazing action, but the motives of the characters, along with a rushed plot, even though it's 2 hours and 43 minutes, by the way, and none of the classic Mission Impossible twists in the movie.
What classic Mission Impossible twists were in there?
Wait, hold on. We're not done yet. Once we're done, then you can talk, okay? Plus, too much focus on the AI really killed the movie and killed moving the movie forward or being able to stay engaged. AI as a weapon makes sense, but to bring it full on sentient took me out of the film and never made sense. When it did or didn't intervene with their plans, would have probably ranked it even lower without the action scenes. Having said that, the ending with them going through the train cars free, they crashed, was too long, and while a cool stunt, there seemed to be too much focus on the build-up for his jump from the motorcycle. Should have only been a couple, and that's the end of the review.
All right, what twist wasn't there? I mean, the fact that the director of national intelligence and who seemed to be a normal guy at the start of the film, and the CIA director, who also seemed to be a pretty trustable guy, that both of them wanted this key to control the AI and, pair that with the military-industrial complex of the United States. The fact that they kind of turned their backs on their country, that's a pretty big twist that I never saw coming. Besides, no shit, they're going to build up to the big stunt. It's the big stunt of Tom Cruise literally riding a motorcycle off a mountain and jumping onto a train. Of course, they're going to build that up.
Okay, so now can I defend this person for a second?
Oh boy.
Okay, so in the other Mission Impossible movies, right? They do always have the holy shit, that was them, but in a mask thing. They broke the mask machine, and I think there was a lack of like a, oh my god, look, because like we kind of knew who was going to be in the mask kind of going forward, right? And I think normally they have like the, oh my god, they took off the mask, oh my god, that's actually them, right?
I mean,
they didn't have that. That was fair. I think that's a very fair criticism of the movie.
I mean, I don't know, when I went to watch it, when they find out that the man who gassed that room of people,
very count. I mean, like in the
it does. No, it does, because we didn't know who was under the mask, and the cinema I was in, it was an IMAX cinema, so it was pretty big. Like, everybody was like, like everyone.
I think we all thought it was a bad guy because he.
No, but
AI.
when they saw it was Tom Cruise, everyone was like, so I don't know.
Oh, someone else gave it a bad review, and Michelle F said, "I thought I purchased them for today, so I didn't see it today." That was the bad review.
That's not even about the movie.
She doesn't know what she bought the tickets for, so she gave it a bad review because she was angry.
Oh my god.
Ooh, a good popcorn movie. Tom Cruise is the larger-than-life hero, surprise, whose abilities and timing stretch all credibility. But it's escapist entertainment, so check your reality meter at the door and enjoy the visual spectacle.
Dude, I'm losing brain cells listening to these people, bro. I'm
John
not gonna
said,
lie.
"We were somewhat disappointed, but the special effects were good." Ooh,
What
here's a
special
good-
effects?
I don't know. Phyllis says, very long and drawn out on the fight/chase scenes. Instead of a part 1 and 2, they could have made one movie. Had some good unknown to me actors that played great parts. I don't know if you live under a rock, but I don't think there's any actor in this who is unknown. But anyways, we'll just kind of move on from that one. Yeah, I'm not gonna read that one. That's too long for me to read. Let's see. Ooh, here's one. Gary H says, I wasn't able to watch it today at 1:30 as I went to my movie and it was closed. I am trying to get my refund, but the website says I can't because when I got home to start the refund, it said the movie already started. In brackets, it didn't. I could get a refund. Do you love it when people vent about their frustrations the theater process?
That's ridiculous. These reviews are like delusional.
Ooh, this is a good one. Corlando Mary says there's a lot of action, but a lame storyline. All this about a key that no one knows where it goes or what it does. A super intelligent computer entity that countries are sure that they can control, but it cannot figure out a simple way to protect its keyhole. A super secret Russian nuclear sub that has a crewman at the controls with a strong American accent. I don't think so. They can and have done better.
I don't think they had strong American accents.
They didn't. At least unless I have a different concept of American accents.
I mean, American English basically sounds the same as Canadian English, so I don't know if they had American accents on that Russian vessel.
They had Russian accents.
Yeah, they had some sounding Russian accents.
But can we just talk about how they have a problem with the fact that the lame storyline because everything's about a key and no one knows where it goes. Alon, I have a question for you. I'm gonna ask you a question because I think this is something that comes up often, right? I'm gonna ask you to define a term for our audience, okay?
Okay.
What is the term MacGuffin?
MacGuffin? Oh, Jesus. I don't even know what that means.
Well, I was giving you one here.
MacGuffin. An object, device, or event that is necessary to the plot and motivation of the characters.
So a MacGuffin is like the Infinity Stones in Marvel, right? Mm-hmm. They're just like they're things which kind of just plot devices essentially that you have to chase around, right? Now, MacGuffins don't make the movies bad. They make them. They just are part of the plot, right? Like that's a natural. MacGuffins are natural plot devices. This is one of those moments where the key, yes, is it a MacGuffin? Yes, sure. But it's a natural plot device because at the end of the day, you have to find a way to move the plot along. And the only way to do that is to have things sometimes, because otherwise, if you spent 700 years trying to explain something, you wouldn't. Sometimes the easiest thing to do is just say, look, there's a key that opens the source code, right? Like, you can't really make it too realistic because people get bored. And speaking of bored, I realized that I've been reading reviews for like an hour now, so I'm going to stop doing that because as much fun as those were, they also kind of hurt my head a little bit and killed some of my brain cells. And as I'm currently severely lacking brain cells, losing more of them is not a good thing for me. So with that being said, I think it's a good time to say, hey, everyone who disliked the movie, you are welcome to watch our reviews all the time, because you clearly need an education of what a good movie is, and we will provide that. Yes. For those of you who like the movie, please like this review, because you, just like the people recording this review, have a good taste in movies and therefore should not be ashamed of themselves for being given the ability to read and write.
Yeah.
Yes. And to the critics who said this was a bad movie, especially that one top critic and the Boston Globe guy.
Hey, if you're from Boston, bro.
Okay, before we say something,
you're a weirdo. You're a weirdo if you're from Boston.
Now, I would just like to say to the Boston Globe guy, you can shove your globe somewhere where the stars don't shine or whatever the word is. You know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. You know what I'm. Yeah. Okay. So, with that being said, and my microphone being half broken now, because I broke it, we will be ending this podcast here. But that is not the end of us because we will be back next week. Well, you won't be back next week because next week's already recorded. But I will be back next week, and then you'll be
Uh,
back the week after next week.
what date is that?
I don't know.
I am going to watch Oppenheimer in exactly 1 week. Um,
Why are you watching it so late?
well, I'm in the country, so I can't really go anywhere.
Oh wow, I'm watching in exactly a few days. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna be in Ottawa, so I'm gonna go watch it there. So I'm gonna be watching it there, and because that's what you do when you go other places, is you watch movies. I will watch Barbie at some point too. So you know what? We might make an emergency podcast kind of thing. I guess you're not gonna watch Oppenheimer till next week, anyways. So
Exactly.
next week,
I'm going like exactly in a week on a Wednesday.
okay, I'm gonna spoil it for you as soon as I get out of it.
Dude, it's a historical movie. I already know what happens. I learned about Oppenheimer in grade 11.
I'll tell you that the bomb blows up.
Yeah.
It works. The bomb
Yeah.
works.
The bomb
It
works.
blows up. As soon as the dot detects you, the bomb works. It blows up.
No way.
Yeah, I know. I'm spoiling Oppenheimer. Okay. No, but yeah, we will be back next week to talk about those movies, I guess, or in 2 weeks to talk about those movies. Unless I have some very strong opinions, I won't make as like a separate review. However, that being said, if I have some very strong opinions, like for example, if Oppenheimer sucks and I don't like it, then I will probably just make a quick review just to tell everyone I hate it. And I can just kind of, start to get all the wheels turning while you go watch it. And then you can come back and yell at me for why I'm wrong and how my opinion is wrong. And when I think that Barbie is better than Oppenheimer, we can discuss why I think it is. Also, you should try to watch Barbie too because Barbie's awesome. Barbie looks awesome. Stop it. Stop it. It looks great. It looks great.
I don't know.
It looks great. It looks great.
I don't know. I'm not a fan.
But you're not a fan of any good cinema. That's why you like this.
I don't know. I don't know. Barbie's not my cup of tea.
You know what's not your cup of tea? Good cinema.
Wow.
That's why you like John Wick and Sicario.
Wow. You still haven't watched Chapter 4.
Because I like good cinema. That's why I spend my time watching. I just watched a movie. I don't remember what I watched. What did I just watch? It was a good movie.
Mission Impossible.
No. There's another movie I watched. It was really shitty. God damn it! Why don't I remember? Let me check. I'm gonna find it. I watched a shitty movie just recently. Or did I not watch a shitty movie recently? I swear I just watched something. What the hell did I just watch? Does anyone want to help me here? Does anyone know what I watched?
What actors were in it?
I don't remember. What? Why don't I remember? I literally just watched a movie. I'm not a joke. I like quite literally. Not that. Oh, I know. Oh yeah, I want to talk about this. Okay, so this is a side note thing. Have you watched Quarterbacks?
Oh, the documentary?
Yeah,
No,
it was fucking awesome.
because Patrick Mahomes was in it.
Yes.
What if Tom Brady was in it?
No, that I would have watched it. However,
Yeah. What if it was Brady, Mariota, and Cousins?
obviously I wouldn't have watched it. But however, it was really good.
The city keeps Dick Ryder.
All I'm gonna say is this though: the best episode was the last one because all the other terrible quarterbacks were eliminated from the playoffs. So they didn't talk about them anymore, and all they talked about was just Patrick Mahomes. And then the last episode, it was Patrick Mahomes beating the Eagles and the Bengals on one leg, and the Jaguars also on one leg. It was the greatest
Patrick
episode.
Mahomes couldn't score a touchdown against the Bucks in 2020.
You know what he did though? He beat 3 teams, including one of your many teams. I think the Bengals are one of your many teams, right?
No.
The Eagles won your many teams.
No,
You picked against them. You picked against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I remember that. I was there.
I picked but they're not my favorite team.
Yeah, but you picked against them twice. You picked against them with the Bengals. You picked against them with the Eagles, and they beat them both. And Patrick Mahomes had one leg, and now they're even better because they have Rashid Rice.
Patrick Mahomes couldn't score a touchdown against the Bucks.
But his offensive line was injured. Now he's Creed Humphrey,
Creed Humphrey.
best center in all of football.
No, it's Lane Johnson. What are you talking about?
Sorry, who just won the Super Bowl? Was it Lane Johnson or Creed Humphrey? Please remind me. I don't remember.
I mean, Lane Johnson's better.
Okay. So Creed Humphrey's the best.
Just because Jokic won the NBA doesn't mean he's the best player in the NBA.
This counterfactual, counterpoint. I disagree with you. He is the best player in the league. So Jokic and Mahomes are the two best players in the league. Now you can go talk to a wall about that. However, and Team Canada is better than Team USA in basketball. However, with all that being said, for real though, the quarterback documentary is actually really good. Like, outside my Patrick Mahomes, fandom.
Dick sucking.
Sure, that's
dick riding.
Sure. So outside of that, I think they actually did a really interesting thing because they paralleled three very unique quarterbacks, right? Like you have this kind of guy who's like, one of the top, the best quarterback in the league, and not even close. Then they have a guy who's like, a nice mid-tier, talented guy, but still, has some issues. Then you have like this guy who's like struggling to stay in the league as a starter, right?
And he won the Heisman.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like high pick, but also someone who's struggling to stay in the league, right?
Yeah.
And like it's a very interesting contrast, right? Because you have these three different players who you're watching simultaneously, and you see like you do like, and I mean again, in all seriousness, outside of all this other stuff, you do actually get to see a very interesting contrast, right? Like you understand this is why Mahomes is as good as he is. This is why Mariota is where he is. You know what I mean? Like it kind of shows you there are levels to greatness. And you actually see the difference between Mahomes, Cousins, and Mariota, and you understand why Mahomes, Cousins, Mariota is the order you would rank those three quarterbacks, right? I don't think you're going to disagree with that statement, right?
I don't know. Cousins is pretty good.
But I thought it was amazing. Like it was actually, and again, as someone who actually watched the season, the entire season, I thought it was a really fun thing to just because when it comes out, kind of is a recap of the season. And so, I got to live through some of those amazing moments again of, Mahomes coming back on one leg and, and also I do got to say the Jaguars game, the whole story behind that, like they go into a lot more depth, which was really cool, right? Like about, what was actually going on there, because that's something, which you hear stories about, but you don't actually see it. Right. And then you obviously see some stuff about the Cousins, relationship with the team. You see a little bit about the transition from Mariota to Ritter, right? And what Mariota kind of decided, why he decided to have the surgery instead of, being with the team. And so it's interesting. It gives you color. And I think I kind of want them to do it again because with three of like kind of the same level quarterbacks, maybe like Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott.
Joe Burrow, say Jared Goff, and
Dak. I know Dak might be too good. Maybe a rookie, the Indiana rookie. I want Indiana.
Anthony Richardson.
That's the guy. I want him in it.
Yeah, Burrow, like elite quarterback. Goff, really solid quarterback, and then like rookie level quarterback like Anthony Richardson, or
even Jordan Love or Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of those.
Justin Fields could be good because of the fact that like he can also play running back.
Yeah, just like Jalen Hurts can also play running back. Or even like for the top tier quarterback, I wouldn't even mind like a Lamar Jackson as a top tier quarterback. Yeah. Jalen Hurts as a top tier quarterback. Josh Allen kind of be fun, but I also feel like it could easily become a disaster because of the whole
Josh Allen
thing.
Josh Allen really hasn't proven himself either,
I agree. That's why the Chiefs own him. Anyway, well, you can't disagree with that too because it's
dude, this guy, bro. Oh my god.
The Chiefs own everyone in the league though. It's not really.
I don't think they own the Bucks.
Would you actually? Russell Wilson would be an interesting choice too as the mid tier quarterback.
Yeah, especially if they focus on like the decline of Russell Wilson.
Well, if he declines, unless he's amazing, then maybe it won't be the decline of Russell Wilson, right?
I don't know if he's going to be this good this year. Hopefully he bounces back and actually has a solid year, but I don't know.
Plus, then we'll get the conversations that Sean Payton and the front office are having of should we play this nobody we have as the backup? Actually, no, they have a good backup, don't they?
I think so.
They brought in someone who is decent as their backup, but whoever the backup is, they should, But like those are I think you should watch the quarterback. I know you hate Patrick Mahomes, but I think you should watch the quarterback series because it is actually really fun.
I don't hate Patrick Mahomes. It's just like the dick riding is insane. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't say that when you talk about LeBron or Tom Brady.
Well, LeBron's got nothing left to prove.
I had an argument with someone that LeBron was the GOAT, and I was arguing he was the GOAT. So yeah, are you proud of me?
Nice.
I've kind of started to talk myself into it because I think it's hard to deny at this point. As much as I like, and look, I'm like the last person who wants to ever say LeBron is the GOAT, mainly because it makes you happy and that makes me angry. But I feel like I've kind of had to talk. Like it's so hard to argue. Like when I'm making the argument, he's the GOAT. I can't find an argument against that being true because like
the only argument that there is against LeBron is the 2011 NBA Finals. That's the only thing that I have against him.
Like because when the person I was arguing with actually was giving the arguments back to me, right, as like the pro MJ arguments, right? They all felt ridiculous. They was like, oh, who has more rings? That was the entire argument. Who has more rings? Oh, well, and who won 3-peats? Like that was, and then the other one was like, oh, who stayed on the same team for all their rings? But like that was all the arguments. Those are 3 arguments, and that's really not compelling.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you go by the ring argument, if you go by the ring argument, then Robert Horry all time is better than Michael Jordan.
Bill Russell has 12 rings or something.
Bill Russell is the GOAT. If we go off ring, besides rings is more of it's obviously a team achievement.
Plus, Siakam better than Harden. Siakam better than Dame.
Yeah, if you go by ring logic, you say Lowry all time is better than Allen Iverson
and Chris Paul
and
which
all those
is true,
guys.
By the way,
Lowry better than Chris Paul. That's crazy. That's insane.
All I'm saying is Lowry's more one on his team than Chris Paul is on his team.
That's insane. Is Lowry better than AI?
Also, Jordan Poole better than AI.
Unreal.
Jordan Poole better than Bradley Beal too, actually.
Unreal.
If we're going off rings, then yeah.
Yeah, if we're going off rings. If we're going off rings, AD and Giannis are at the same level.
And wow, that's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah. If we're using the ring logic, then AD and Giannis are equal to each other.
Oh, Siakam better than Embiid.
Yes, Siakam is better than Embiid if we're going off ring logic.
And AD, Giannis, and Siakam are on the same tier.
Yeah, they're on the same tier.
Which is true in real life. So
no, it's not. Are you kidding me? It's never been that way.
And the other thing is the 3-peats, but then if you want to have 3-peats, then Wilt Chamberlain's or Bill Russell's still the GOAT.
Yeah, Bill Russell's still the GOAT. Obviously he's got the most rings.
Everything MJ did, Bill Russell did better.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Bill Russell didn't quit to go play baseball.
But also, Bill Russell played in an NBA where I think there was 12 teams.
Right, but the point is, LeBron's playing in a more talented era than Michael Jordan did.
Yeah, this era of basketball is a lot more talented and more physical.
Like Siakam would be a top 2 player in the league if he was playing in the Michael Jordan era. Let's be honest.
Even I don't know, dude, Tyus Jones would be the best point guard in the league in the 90s and the 80s.
Well, no, I think Steve Kerr would be better. I think
Tyus Jones, Trey Jones, Devontae Graham. Oh, what's that dude's name?
Are we just gonna act like Isaiah Thomas was bad?
Dude, Lonzo Ball would be a top 3 point guard in the 80s.
Wait, no. Lonzo Ball doesn't play basketball anymore, so he can't be a top 3.
Healthy Lonzo Ball would be a top 3 point guard in the 80s.
Wait, so then are we going to just act like Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas weren't players?
I mean, yeah, Magic, Isaiah, and Lonzo Ball.
And I feel like there's probably more people, but
in the 90s, yeah, Lonzo would be a top 3 point guard.
No, he wouldn't.
This is just a more talented era of basketball.
But I get what you're saying. Yeah, no, I agree, and that's why I was making the argument. I think I've come to that conclusion too.
Yeah.
So,
If you even if you put LeBron in the '90s, like he's gonna bulldoze his way through everyone.
much like Michael Jordan, except unlike Michael Jordan, he won't need Scottie Pippen to start winning games.
Yeah.
So, anyways, with that weirdly agreeable segment of basketball talk that happened at the end of our 39-minute podcast about Mission Impossible.
Yes.
Speaking of Mission Impossible, proving like ending the GOAT debate is an impossible mission. And now, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment if you made it this far and you actually enjoyed this basketball talk segment and also the football talk, which also happened. Then, let us know. We won't do more of it because, this is about movies, but, we'll keep it in mind. That
We'll talk about sports on the side.
Well, no, I don't like talking about sports publicly because I can't be right all the time then.
No, we'll save our sports discussions to, when the three of us or something, or, the four of us gather together.
Exactly. When there's no actual recorded evidence and I can't be wrong.
Yeah.
Because then my sports takes are great when I'm not wrong. So, would that be like, that's like when, I called every NBA finals ever because I make my prediction the day the NBA finals.
You also
ends.
said Tom Brady is not the GOAT.
He's worse than Bill.
Nobody.
No,
literally, he's worse than nobody. He's the GOAT.
Okay. Now, if you're thinking that, and Jordan loved me better than Tom Brady, we can now end this podcast. Thank you all for watching. Follow us on social media. Check us out if you're watching this on podcast apps, go check us out on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
We have a website that exists. Go look at that. Watch more videos. Do all that stuff. Support us because we like talking about movies. And then bye.
Yes, sir. Bye.